Right here.
The right spot. All right. Just let me know when you're ready, gals. Yes, Sarah. Have you heard from Sarah? Do we know if she's coming?
We have not heard from Sarah. We didn't hear she was not coming, so maybe she's running.
Is that the only person?
Lori is not here. She was out of town.
Well, I'm just going to say welcome back, everybody. It's been a long time. It's good to see you all. Get out and vote.
Are we ready?
Okay. All right, welcome. It's about 9:05, so let's call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum, and the approval of the minutes. Is there anybody that has any changes? Did anybody find any errors, anything that they would like to report at this time? If not, I'd like to have a motion to approve and a second.
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. New business. Am I turning that over to you, Pamela?
Yes, please.
Okay, sure.
It's the Perfect in South Walton Award. You know, the past couple of years, we had that as part of our annual meeting, but it has become so big that we decided to separate that out this year. And so that will be on January 28th, on Saturday, at St. Destin on Bayside from 1:30 to 3:30. And we're still in the planning stages of that, so more information to follow. But we had a lot of categories this year, and we had a lot of voting. Gayla, can you tell us how many votes came in?
We almost doubled our votes. The exact number I don't remember this time, but we had doubled our votes from last year, which last year we doubled votes from the previous year. So we're doing great on that, and this year we had expanded to 50 categories, which is one of the reasons that we decided to do a special event just for Perfect this year.
Is there any reason for votes doubling 2 years in a row?
I was going to say, didn't you not before allow voting more than one time? And this year you opened it where you could vote every day?
We allowed people to do that in previous years also.
Oh.
We are attributing it honestly just to name recognition of the event. We're in our third year now, so.
More categories.
And more categories. I think that we got a big bump this year because of the nonprofit organizations adding that category in. They did a lot of special promotion for us on their own because they were encouraging people. So in addition to the businesses who were encouraging people to vote for them, we had all of the nonprofits out there doing it as well.
What was the reasoning for allowing people to vote daily?
It was the same thing that we had done in previous years.
But we are going to look at that program
Yes.
for next year. There's
Yeah.
some things that need to be tweaked, and there are some categories that probably don't need to be there. I know when I took the survey when I voted, it was kind of painful. It was long, and I think with that being said, we probably lost some people midway through taking that. So Gayla and the team, we're going to take a look at that and make it better.
So why would you allow people to vote more than once?
Well, we're looking at that too, and our feeling is you vote once.
Yes, that's how we would like to change it.
There were a few categories, if you rally your posse, and we
Yeah.
saw that, you could win in almost every category, which isn't quite fair. So that's one of the things that we want to look at and make that better. Because every vote counts, as we know, but do you really want to vote 100 times? That doesn't really give a clear perspective of the festival.
Yeah, it kind of loses its integrity. if
Yes,
That's the case.
that's what we thought too.
Is there a minimum number of things you have to vote for when you vote, or can you vote once and then you're out of the?
You mean, can you just vote for one
Right.
question? Yeah, you could do that. You could click skip on every other
Right, okay.
We have very few people who seem to do that. The majority of people who didn't fill out all of the questions only do 3 to 5.
Yeah, there's other awards out there, you know, best in this, best in that, best in this. They have a minimum of, you have to vote for 20 different places or categories, so it kind of.
Before it counts.
Yeah, before that one vote counts, but it kind of keeps that part of it a little bit honest, because someone might not want to, they might want to just go in and ding theirs 100 times, but if they have to go to 19 other places,
Right.
it alleviates some of that.
Another thing that we were thinking about, and you can tell us what you think, is that maybe in one category, and I can't think of what that category, I know there were several, there might be 50 things in that category. Maybe we take the top 10 or 15, because when I took that, and I know a lot of people, I did not know that those people, I did not know this, that. Like, wow, so if I didn't, you know, other people might not either. So if we took the top 10 or 15 and had that under that heading, maybe that would be less painful and easier. Because if you just got nominated one time, you were in it. What do you guys think about that?
I could agree with that.
But
There
we're,
would maybe only be 10 or 8 or whatever the number is in each category. The top. Yeah.
And Kayla, you know, that's her program, and she inherited that, and she had direction, but we really want to look at it and streamline it and make it better.
Yeah, I'd also recommend too, I know we do nominations first, but when you put those nominees on the ballot, just confirming that they're the proper entity names. And, you know, like we have few chefs that transition, but then they were on the award ballot, and so just maybe verifying that they're still relevant and that the names are correct before putting them on the actual ballot.
We have a hard time with that too, because sometimes they just might say Nancy Stanley.
If you don't know who, right.
Best chef Nancy Stanley. Okay. We know she works at St. Joe. We didn't know she was a chef. So it's like they may not, it may just give us a name. They may not have given us anything. Gayla worked really, really hard trying to verify every single one of those, because people just say whatever they want to, so it gets a little harder. So maybe if we change the nomination process a little bit. So that
Narrow it down, so that again, you have to get at least 5 votes and now to take it to the ballot.
Yes. So maybe at the next marketing meeting, you bring back a list of those things that we have identified, and you guys might have more, so that we can make the best of the best, really the best of the best.
Industry research?
Yes. So in front of you, and it was sent out to you, I just wanted to pull a few little highlights, nothing, not a lot of anything, because, you know, it's a lot to read and you can read it at your leisure.
That's all these.
Okay.
We didn't print out a set for every one of you because you got it in an email, but I will pass them around.
That's the analytics,
Yeah.
that's next. But for the only things I was going to point out for the tourism metrics for the industry research was when you look at from spring 2015 to spring 2016, we had a 6% change. Occupancy was 54.6% spring 2015, went up to 57.9% spring 2016. That's a 6% change. Room rates were at 305.38, and they moved to 314.22. That's a 2.9% change up. And then room nights went from 521,700 to 570,000. So that's a plus 9.3% change. And then if you look at total economic impact from 2015, which was 892,000, no, that's 92 million, right? Yeah, $892 million to $962 million. So that's plus 7.8%. So that's a good change. So that's spring. Then when you look to the summer that we just got those into, I wanted to show that as well. The occupancy was 81.4%. In summer 2015, it was only 81.9% summer 2016. So it didn't really go up that much. You're only looking at 0.6 And then if you look at room rates is where it changed. It went from 341.47 to 358.22, which is a 4.9% increase. But where you really see it is the economic impact from 1.5 billion to 1.6 billion, which is 8.2% up. So, I mean, it's not number of people, it's truly, I mean, there weren't more people here, there were a few more, but not enough to garner another $100,000. So it's truly just everyone was able to raise their rates and they're getting the rate that they want. So we think that's a win because, I mean, in the summer, no one wants one additional person here, but if you can charge $50 more a night, charge it, get it.
Is summer defined as Memorial Day to Labor Day or the third quarter?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. And remember, when you're looking at that, like, when you're looking at those last 2 weeks of August, it always is
Yeah.
you know,
Back to
slow
school.
down.
Yep.
So, and then you hope for that Labor Day, which, you know, we'll see how fall break did when we get the new numbers in.
There were a lot of people here.
We had
That's all I heard.
record-breaking October. Yeah.
October was incredibly
Well,
busy.
I think the hurricane had a lot to do with it as well.
It definitely
A
did.
lot
Yes.
of people from the East Coast were pushed this way. And I mean, from the entire eastern seaboard, from down south all the way up to the Carolinas, people came here.
You had double, you had people evacuating, and then you had visitors who had to relocate because they might have had travel plans to those regions and decided to go somewhere else.
Yes, we prepared a document that our EOC person took with him down to South Florida to help command some things down there. And then that was distributed throughout the state because we had sent out a blast through Central View saying, you know, for these days that the hurricane is happening, do you have occupancy? You know, what is your occupancy? So, you know, I'm sure some of those people, like you said, Jim, came over here.
Yeah, those probably ought to be noted when we're documenting the numbers.
To compare
Yeah.
next year to this year.
And Philip has that information, and then he puts that together, so.
And we've been so lucky. Every year, it's just a little breath, you know.
Yeah, so we're fortunate because we got a bunch of people that came here that normally would not have come here, maybe have never been here to see what we have to offer. And we heard a lot of people at the resort going, my gosh, I didn't know this really was this. So,
You know, it's so refreshing when people come into the visitor center for the first time and they're just gushing and moving and crying about this area. They've never been here before, or they might be passing through and now they're going to come back. So that's always exciting. I'm happy to be out there and they come in.
Are we finished with the industry research? Are we going on to Walton County tourism infographic?
This was in your packet, and this is also what we gave out at the annual meeting. And we just think this is a really great piece, you know, a snapshot. And if people ask you, you know, what does the TDC do, this would be a great thing for you to hand them, because it's what we do in a snapshot. And on a side note, this type of information, Anna created our annual report, which will, it's a different format. It's this type of format, and it's going to be a fold-out. And is it January?
Yeah, it will be mailed after December 6th, so.
It'll be mailed to every resident in Walton County. So they will actually be able to know what the TDC does, and we think that will help out the tourism. You know, tourism is our #1 economy. So normally, you know, we have a booklet and it's thick and it's difficult to read. This will be a snapshot of every department.
Did you consider other ways to distribute that information other than mailing, like maybe as an insert in the newspaper?
We did. And what did we find out about it?
We were originally going to do it as an insert in the newspaper and determined that we wanted to mail it out to the full county just to, as a one-shot, kind of reach everybody and announce a couple things that we're doing for the coming year. There's a letter in there from Jay, kind of, you know, it's the basic executive director look back at the year, but also a couple things about what's coming in the coming year, and to kick off some of our community relations ideas. for the coming year. The pricing on it, we had looked at both things, and to reach as many people with the newspaper and newspaper delivery doesn't reach everybody in the county, so this was.
And this will go in the north end too, so all the people in the north end will have it.
And will it also reach owners who don't live here, but again, maybe in other states, like is it going to reach?
It will go to their address here. It will go to their address here. So if they're having a mail forwarded, then it will, but we only bought the list for.
And you might be able to check into sending it through the clerk's office too. That's like 1,200 pieces.
The list that we purchased is supposed to encompass that.
Okay. Just trying to reach everybody, because that, it's important. And annual meeting reports in the past, we have not done that. So moving forward, that is our.
And there'll be press releases also for like this local district coverage on this information or not?
We will probably announce that we have sent it out. Not that we've sent it out, but once it goes out in the mail, we'll have it up on our website, the same as we have done in previous years. But we'll have it in the new format. So we will.
Well, any way to hit people, I think multi,
And we'll have extra copies here in this building.
What's the target date?
It's gonna, it will be in people's mailboxes after December 6th.
I would suggest with the press release, pulling out a couple of your dynamite stats and leading with that. Again, I know a lot of our local news stations want to cover at the end of the year, want to cover how the tourism industry did, and give them the tools that you will get covered.
I'm hoping that, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say we're waiting until after December 6th because we want to present it to the TC Council.
First, sure.
And then we'll send it out.
At the annual meeting, Jay announced that we had the 30th anniversary, we had a special microsite that we had created, and there's a section in there that goes through our previous annual reports, and that's also, that was part of our plan to roll out this one. We'll go in with that because this is our 30th anniversary annual report.
So on our partner site right now, it has we videotaped the annual meeting for those who could not attend. So all the pictures that Hannah took during the event are on there, some are in there. And what else is on that site?
The presentation, the artist of the year, post.
The links to the presentation, the slideshow, the historical look back, the press releases that we put out afterwards, and then off of the main microsite, there's 6 links, including to general information about the TBC and our industry.
So we are making a concerted effort to get information out into the community on what we're doing.
We will also have the sites there and then actually list it. So,
Yes.
Okay, special event marketing grant discussion.
Yes, I know that at your last meeting in May, John you guys briefly talked about the events grant and how we could make it better for in the future. So we've been working on a little presentation, and we'd like more discussion on this. And as you know, Kelly has been the administrator of the South Walton Events Grants for 8 years. Yes. And Carly will be going on her 4th year with North Walton. So North Walton receives $30,000. And that program has gone from 4 events to 7 events for this next year. And I think South Walton around 12 to 26. So this program has gotten bigger and bigger. And so we want some discussion on how we can evolve it, make it better. So let's just go through this. Let's go through the slideshow and we will explain. The program currently accepts the applications from organizations that sponsor and promote tourism events. Grants are given to events in the following tiers. Signature events are your 3-day events. Experience events are your 1-day events. And then North Walton, as I just mentioned, is $40,000. And they could have a 1-day event or they could have a 3-day event. And theirs is a little bit different than South Walton. South Walton is, you need to put heads in beds. North Walton is more, when the committee up there looks at that, is this an event that a resident in South Walton or Freeport would want to attend, and is it an event that a visitor would want to attend? So that we look at it a little bit differently.
So just a couple things as a reminder about the current program in place. For the past 7 years, the event grants have been required to use the grant in following ways. You must advertise in core and emerging markets outside of Bay, Appaloosa, and Walton County, and it has to be traditional print, digital placements, billboards, direct mail pieces, radio and video placements. Keep in mind, it's only the hard cost for your website, which is basically only like where you purchase your URL. Appearance fees have been considered for the last 2 years. That was something really that the Seaside Half Marathon kind of led with being able to pay Emerald Lagasse to appear there. And then creation of event apparel or souvenirs. If you're an experienced event, it's obviously you receive less than $10,000, so you can't spend more than half of your grant on that. But if you are a signature event, you can spend no more than $5,000 on it. And just to put it in perspective, since 2009, when I kind of took over the program, we've given out $2.8 million in this program, and that's cash. And remember, this program is a reimbursement program. It's not set to be your only marketing dollars. You should have additional, this should be in addition to what you're already spending on marketing. So you should have a marketing plan in place of what you're going to do, and if you receive this money, these are the additional things that you're going to do. And which I know a lot of you know that, so I just wanted to
Is
make
it
sure.
still marketing dollars outside the?
It's still out, it's always outside of Okaloosa, Walton, and Bay County.
That 22019 is actually meant to be 2009. I know she fixed it yesterday, but it just wouldn't take it. But look at that amount, $2,831,750. That's a lot of money since 2009. So just keep that in mind.
$3 million.
So we worked together, the three of us, Jay, and those people who have been here for the longest. We really talked about how this program, where it's come from. Many of you in this room remember the Audit Tides program. It kind of morphed from the Audit Tide program to sponsorship to really where we're trying to get it to now to just be special event marketing. So we worked together with our agency of record, and we talked about them overseeing in collaboration with event partners to create development, for creative development and approvals and placement of media that encompasses print, digital, and radio advertising in those core and emerging markets for the upcoming year. In which, when I say the upcoming year, keep in mind we're looking at October 1, 2017 to September 30th, 2018.
2017, 2017 is already set.
It's already in this year.
So what we're really looking at, maybe in a way, we kind of call it bringing it in-house a little bit, but I think that is kind of not exactly the way we would want to say it, because they're still working with event partners. It's not like it's going to be all our decision. You're still working together with these event partners to make sure that the media is reaching where it needs to go. So there are some benefits of the recommendation. This would help us with a comprehensive integrated media plan, and it would support the efforts that are currently ongoing now with that we do. And the other, really looking at creating that umbrella brand of South Walton and making sure that everyone knows these events are in South Walton, that they all happen in each of your neighborhoods, each at everywhere from Sandusky, Grand Boulevard, Watercolor, Miramar. That's all part of South Walton, and really making sure that people realize there's plenty to do in South Walton. The third thing that I think is really important is that agency buying power. We really have an opportunity here to leverage that when you're talking about the agency can get a much better rate on buying media than individual event partners can, simply because of the sheer buying power they have, of how much they buy and what we can do with that. So, And then also looking at some added value that we could get. And then, you know, obviously, if you have a larger buying power, you have more money to spend across, so you have a larger visibility and higher frequency of media placed. So from there, we would kind of look at this similar to the way we do the very successful co-op program, where, I mean, if you are St. Joe, Newman Daily, Sandestin, Resort West, you have the ability to buy into that program. So normally we would charge a nominal fee for you to be part of this program, but because we want events to flourish and we want events to succeed, we are looking at moving the events program to something similar to the co-op program, where instead of charging you all, we would look at that money that we would normally be putting into giving it to events for reimbursement, putting it straight into a media plan. So we would be looking at media placement examples. These are print, and what Carly and I did for this was we went back and we looked at like the past 3-4 years of where events market what publications events use. We looked at all of it. It seems to be B Metro, Atlanta Magazine, the Local Palette, Nashville Lifestyles, those that are on the board up there. Those are the places that you're advertising anyway. And if South Walton can use their buying power to get even more insertions with that money, it's just a win for everyone. And we would also have, you know, look at having added value. We would want, when our media buyer is doing it, she will look at, you know, make sure that we can get some editorials, e-blast, social media, and obviously some discounted rates so that we can have a larger frequency of placements. So moving forward, we have a proposed print creative. It's a little hard to see on the screen.
Here's a handout.
We have a handout there. It's a little hard because it's white, but each insertion would speak to what you're speaking about. So you notice at the top of it, it says turquoise water to bold reds at a wine festival. Well, obviously this insertion would be all about wine festivals. And where you're looking at it, you're looking at the fact that this one over here on the left is Wine, Women, and Shoes. This is 30A Wine Festival. This is the Sandestin Wine Festival. And this is the South Walton Beaches Wine and Food Festival. They're on the same scale, as the same size as what a co-op partner buys. And what we're trying to say is if this was in the Local Palette magazine, say the January edition, if you can't come in February for Wine, Women, and Shoes, then make your plans for April so that you can come to the Sandestin Wine Festival or the South Walton Beaches Wine Festival. If April just doesn't work for you, guess what? March does, because there's something to do for everyone. And then we have the little smaller headline up here that says the year-round food and fun mixes well with all the downtime in South Walton. So each time this turquoise water and bold reds at a wine festival and this smaller tagline here would change. So if it was the Seaside Half Marathon, and maybe we would put that together with the 30A Half Marathon and the 30A 10K, we would change all of this and change the photo. Also, you look here that, you know, this is obviously a photo of the hub, and this is just a photo we had that worked well for what we were trying to do. We had also included the little inserts of, here's the beach, reminder this is the beach. You can't see it as well, but you can when the photo comes around, that this is pouring wine at one of the wine festivals. I think it's the South Walton Beaches Wine and Food Festival. But it also speaks back to South Walton, Florida. It's the home of Scenic Gulf Drive and 30A, from Miramar Beach to Inlet Beach and everything in between. So these really speak to all these neighborhoods have these things in them. So this is something similar that we're proposing for our print creative, and you have the opportunity, if you're the event partner, we would do it very similar to, we do co-ops, we work together with those, you submit your assets, we talk about where we're going to place this. It comes back, I double check it, make sure everything is correct. Nothing leaves this building, even now, for co-ops, and I know some of you know that, nothing leaves this building without my eyes on it, and I double check that if you're the partner, That's the photo you sent, that's the URL you provided, and that's the information. And then from there, once I've double checked it, it goes to the partner and they have an opportunity to make sure that that's exactly what they say. And then also, before it's sent out, it just, gets sent to, if it's a sales insertion, meetings, weddings, Pamela checks it over. We just really have a lot of checks and balances in place. And then it's a very clean ad and it looks very nice. So that's just a proposed creative. I mean, we're not married to anything. I just wanted to have something.
Just example.
And then, of course, when you look at this the next time, it talks about the hero image, headline, and body copy, like I said, will be relevant to whatever feature it is. And we would be able to feature the multiple events in one print ad using the event logos. And then, obviously, like I said, if it's not a beach photo, we're going to show the beach somewhere because it's a reminder that, typically we're talking about most of this happens in what we call the shoulder season. So since it happens in the shoulder season, we're wanting to remind you there's more to do than just the beach, because if it's the shoulder season, the beach tends to be a little cooler, maybe not the most opportune time to go there. So we would do digital as well, and these are, when we look at these digital media placement examples, these are the exact places that we place Visit South Walton Media already. So since we place Visit South Walton Media already here, we know that this works, and we know that it would work well for the event partners to use. And campaigns, obviously, will be optimized weekly looking at that. And if something's not working, we're going to move it to somewhere else so that it is working. And some of the creative that we use are up here. So these are some of the things. These that you're looking at is additional dollars that is spent through the media plan, not encompassing the reimbursement money that's given out to the event partners. We spend another $500,000 or so on radio and digital for only signature events. Well, that's 14 events now. So we have approximately 30-something events. The other 18 events, the North Walton events, and the other 11 events aren't being promoted at all through this. Only the signature events work. So this will give us another opportunity to promote some of those events. This is kind of a static ad. The next one, I show you this one because it was a very interesting ad that was created. Digital Graffiti liked it so much they actually used it in their own advertising on various places where they were placing digital media. So they really liked it a lot.
And that was at no cost.
This is at absolutely no cost. This is using the agency that's already creating South Walton ads and then just continuing to use that momentum to create even more awareness of the brand. And these would all, if you're an event partner and you wanted these ads, they would be all provided to you at no cost. And then, as I said earlier, we do media, radio, and for signature and experience events, we're looking at, of course, the larger markets, Atlanta, Birmingham, Mobile, but there's also, for the North Walton, Dothan, Mobile, Tallahassee, you can see some crossover there just because you're in Dothan, you might be interested in signature and experience event. You don't have to just be interested in a North Walton event. And of course, added value would include, various things that we could do, especially on air promotions, e-blast, and banner advertising on those radio sites. So when we move over to added value, the biggest thing I really want you to think about is if you're digital graffiti and you're buying a $3,000 one-page ad in logo palette, I'm just making it up, just bear with me. And we, as South Walton, come in and we're like, let's buy that double-page ad. So say it's $6,000. So if Visit South Walton comes and they look at that and we say, well, we want to put four different events on there. That would have been over $20,000 for each one for individually for you to buy those, that money would have been $20,000. But at $6,000, we could promote 4 events for $20,000 less. And then when you add in, Kate will negotiate added value for each buy. You know, full page advertorial, depending on where it is, could be anywhere from $19,000 to $8,000. That's a lot of added value. And as Pamela said earlier, it gives us the opportunity and the event partner the opportunity to pair that up with those 4 small vignettes of the events. Now, if the added value, the advertorial is the next page over, now that reinforces come down for this wine festival. If, like I said, if you can't make it in April, there's one in February, there's one in March. So back to there's something for everyone to do in South Walton all the time. Okay.
Comments so far?
Only thing I see is that you still have to find a way to get full buy-in on this. You're still going to have to find a way to feature the individual's event, because that seeing red gets diluted in there and you don't see a seeing red ad in what we've seen so far.
Okay.
And I love the idea, and it was presented at the BCC meeting or at the TDC meeting, and I love the idea. I think it's a no-brainer.
And I think print's hard anyway, because print is print. We love print. It's pretty, and everybody wants to see their ad in print. So you're really going to see more money, and you're really going to see your bang for your buck is that digital that they're doing, because that's going to give each event the opportunity to have their own. So when you're rolling through these different events, it might be 3 screens. It might be you'll have your own, and this one is the Seeing Red Wine Festival, and this one the Sanderson Wine Festival, and this is the Food Film Festival. Each one of them would have their own screen that would be native to them, and then as you're scrolling through, so each event, it might be only, you know, a rotating ad, or it might be 4, but you would have the opportunity to definitely own it at that moment. So I think that is one of the ways that the event will be able to have their own autonomy.
And then where would those link to?
Well, that's still up for discussion. We haven't got that far yet. As of now, just like your media partner, your co-op partner does, it links to visitsouthwalton.com on your individual page. And then, of course, when it opens up to that individual page, it links off to the actual event. So as of now, just like co-op partners, if you are new and daily and you purchase with co-ops, it links to your co-op, your partner listing page on visitsouthwalton.com, and then we hand it over to the partner from there. That way you can have it linked to wherever you want to once you link off of our page. And there is basically the way we try to do it on your page for events. You can link it either for more information, or you can link it straight to ticket sales, whichever way you would like.
So how would you manage events that get, say, 50,000 versus events who get 30,000? How would you allocate their space and time within this?
So what we're looking at with that is like a percentage. So obviously if you're a bigger event and you're going to bring in more heads and beds, you're going to get more advertising than a smaller, 4-hour event. We don't have that completely worked out because we wanted to talk to you all before we spent a whole lot of time on trying to get further down that road.
But these are all for signature events, right?
No, currently it's only signature events, but we would, obviously if you're a signature event, like one of the wine festivals, you would get more media placed on your behalf, and media placed because you have those events have a longer lead time. So people start buying tickets. Okay, for example, every June, I get this lady that lives outside of Auburn. Her name is Nancy. She calls me wanting to know when the Seeing Red Wine Festival tickets are going to go on sale. I send her every year to the Seeing Red Wine site. But she calls me in June of every single year because she wants to make sure that Auburn's not playing at home that weekend so she can come. So when you look at these events have a much longer lead time, obviously an experience event, you might make an experience event or a North Walton event that media may be a lot, the couple of weeks leading in, whereas signature events may be months leading in. So that's kind of how we're looking at that, because, people, if you're going to stay the whole weekend, you might need a little more lead time. So those are some of the things that we're looking at when we talk about how much more media a signature event would get versus an experience or a North Walton.
And you would still have to fill out that application and submit your plan, and it would still go through the events committee, and it would be vetted by the events committee. Is this a signature event? Is it an event that people will go to? Is it a experience event? And then, of course, North Walton. And say you had 500,000, which this year is 525. Maybe 65% of that is for signature events, 25 for experience, and 15 for North Walton. So the bigger events, the longer events are going to get more.
More media, more push,
Yeah.
more play. Because we want it to be similar to if you're giving $50,000 versus $10,000. And so when you look at that, so I added it up, and there's 14 signature events, and there is 11 experience events. Of the $518,000, only $84,000 of the money is spent on experience events. The rest is signature events. So you're looking at $400,000 of the $500,000 is spent on signature. So we would want to keep we want to keep it that same line. We're just trying to really look at if we can turn $500,000 really into if we can turn it into $1 million. Because that's what we want to do, because we want to get people to your events.
And then you're going to know your analytics. You're going to have that information from our agency if those ads produce.
So I'm curious to know, what does the events committee think of this? Because you're right, you're like putting everybody into one basket is very interesting, right? Your signature events are way different than your experience events. I also know many of your events do have a marketing team. Some people have been working with companies who have been really working on building the brand over years. That's a little bit what we lose in this package is the branding that they've been working to build out of it, because now you're just one of many.
And that's really where I was going with this as well, because if I put my Visit South Walton hat on, this is making sense. I'm getting it. It definitely strengthens the South Walton brand overall, which is what we want. If you look at the individual events who have developed their brands, those events are still going to have to, I can see efforts being duplicated somewhat, because they're still going to have to create their own print ads, their own digital ads, and they're going to have less places to place those, obviously. So I think some of the brand strength could be lost, but then you could argue you gain it back and benefit from being alongside other very strong brands.
And you made a good point, Stacey. You have to have your own marketing dollars. Our dollars is to supplement what you do. It's not the only marketing dollars that you're going to have for your event.
But it's a big chunk.
Out of market and stuff.
Right.
This is your grant provides them the money to go out of market and invite.
And a lot of, sorry, I didn't. For a lot of the signature events that are well established with their own media plans, they have lodging partners that come in with substantial dollars too. And part of that value is ad placement. So as a lodging partner, the lodging partners may still receive residual exposure from it, but they won't receive that prime placement that they're guaranteed as part of the contract.
Very good point.
And while I completely understand that money is never supposed to have been only marketing money. Events, when you read the application over, it does tell you that you should have your own marketing plan laid out, and you should have all the things that you plan to do, and these are all the additional things you plan to do if you receive the grant from South Walton. So I think sometimes that got a little lost, and especially for some of the smaller events, maybe that was the only advertising they were doing, and that's not really what that money was meant for. So really trying to make sure that money is spent like it's supposed to be and not being used as your only marketing money.
So based on this new format, basically, instead of the grant money exchange, like being reimbursed as a partner, it stays in-house with you guys working with the agency on record to develop the media plan for that additional money versus the event partner having to come up with the media plan to show it to you guys, get it approved.
I want to pass around this binder, and it has examples of ads where our logo is placed on the ads, and that is the only requirement that we have, is that our logo be placed on the ads. So in some of them, I would challenge you to find it.
The logo?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Well, I think it goes back to the events meeting required. I guess it's sort of in my brain, it's hard to have a one size fits all.
It is.
Because again, these events are so different in scope, so different in their longevity. For some, this is amazing, and especially when I think you look at the experience events, who probably have their marketing plan is an in-market situation. And by the TDC offering the grant program has allowed them to again go out and market and invite.
But I'm glad you brought that up, because in some cases, there may come a time when you've received grant dollars for 10 years and your event is off and running and it is successful, that you don't need these dollars anymore.
And we know that's a big.
Have you ever had that?
Yes,
It's a
yes.
consideration now at this point when you're looking at, I took over the program 8 years ago. So there are events that have been receiving grants, substantial grants from South Walton for 20 plus years. And granted, they haven't always been, 20,000 or 50,000 because we didn't have the funding to do that previously, but they've always received upwards of $10,000. So when you look at, at what point do we consider an event successful and that they should no longer need money from South Walton? And then at what point?
So you would eliminate people based on that?
You're not, with only having $500,000, there's not any room, if we continue to give the same events money, there's not any room for new events, because if you continue to fund them at the same rate.
And the whole point was to nurture events, to get them to that point where they are self-sustaining on their own. So, there's no guarantee that $500,000 will be in the budget for 2018 or 2019. Budgets are subject to.
So what's going to be your criteria to say, I'm sorry, you're not eligible to get any grant money?
You mean for longevity?
How do you know that events reach the
Well,
threshold?
That's what we're going to have to talk about.
And that's one of the reasons, we're talking to you all about this. At what point, after you funded something for 15 or 20 years, or you?
Maybe it's the number of years, rather than, because it seems like any signature event probably at this point has reached that threshold.
Well, for
of being
example, you told me the race. You said race sells out in 3 hours?
The actual 5K portion of the Seaside Race, the reason Taste of the Race was created was so that, not the only reason, but one of the reasons was so they could spend the additional money, because they don't have to spend the money on advertising. They received $50,000. Previously, we allowed them up till 3 years ago, and it was brought to attention that they were spending all of their money on T-shirts. That's a lot of money to spend on T-shirts for our name to be on the back. So that's one of the reasons the clause was put in there, that you can't spend more than $5,000 on T-shirts. So then now you're looking at, you were awarded you got $50,000 and you have $45,000 left. You have something to spend it on. At this point, if your race is sold out in October, what are you advertising from October to February? Taste of the Race was born out of that. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a good.
It's successful.
It's very
It's a
successful.
success story.
That's what the program's for.
Exactly, and so at one point when you're selling out, I agree, you
Yes.
go off the program and now you're selling out, and then you get back to the place, because I do remember with Seeing Red, which traditionally sells out, there was a minute where they stopped, they came off the program, and then they diminished, they weren't selling out anymore, and then they came back on the program, so it's, as your audience evolves,
I would argue with Seeing Red, though, they, Taste of the Beach came in and kind of took over where the Seeing Red was getting the money because the Taste of the Beach was the umbrella organization, and so they were getting the lion's share of the money, whereas maybe Seeing Red only got $10,000, but Taste of the Beach was receiving $30,000 and $40,000 because Taste of the Beach was supposed to be promoting Seeing Red at the same time they were promoting Taste of the Beach. So that was a little murky for me, but I would agree to an extent on that.
And the wine tasting event market has been somewhat diluted now with the
Exactly.
amount of wine events that are in the market.
And at $500,000, we sitting at this table that work here at the GDC, we have to be good stewards of the dollars and try to find, the best way to use that.
Absolutely, but again, I'm gonna go back to the not one size fits all. There are many events out there who are doing amazing jobs with the money that you are awarding them to get the value add, to get the editorial that goes with it, to enhance these media buys where they are getting, over 50% of the value in added value. So again, it's a challenge with the one size fits all program.
And there have been comments that some of the communities' brands are stronger than ours. That's great, then maybe they don't need our dollars because their brand is stronger than Visit South Walton.
Maybe it's more of like, let's qualify,
And that could be a consideration. We're not saying that this is exactly. We've been working on this while. We here at South Walton, we just want to make sure, as Pamela said, that we're spending the money in the most appropriate ways. And when you look at the penny that this money comes out of, it comes out of the new product development. At what point, sorry, I couldn't think of it. At what point when a festival is 20 years old is it no longer a new product?
And I can appreciate that, absolutely. That's why maybe it's a refining of the program and the application, and I agree 100%.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, you're even in talking to the people sitting at this table, that everybody has some vested interest or stake in this thing. So when it comes down to it, you're going to have to make the decision of the best way to be stewards of the money and the best decision.
And on a positive, I think that the new product development penny has absolutely done what we set out for it to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it has helped these events grow. Look what we've done. We've created the shoulder season.
Started
The
with
number one
Hawkeye.
thing was to turn this into a year-round tourism
Yeah.
destination.
It is.
And look at the fall. I mean,
Yeah. I think
So
we're
excited.
successful.
So it's been successful, and that's the best thing we could ever ask for is, oh my gosh, we created a program that's been successful, we've supported the events, we've created demand in the fall. But yes, I mean, you can't just set it, forget it, everything needs to evolve, and it's great that you're looking at this.
We have some final takeaways for you.
So, the biggest thing is we want to maximize the grant dollars to make a bigger impact. We want to improve exposure of event advertising to drive traffic to your individual events. We definitely want to capitalize on the added value, and I have to say that the biggest thing that we want to do is take advantage of the advertising agency creative talents. But number one, create a unified Visit South Walton brand, because that's what we need to be doing when we're sitting here talking about this, and that's what our goal is, to make sure that everyone realizes the Sandusky Wine Festival is in South Walton. The watercolor is part of South Walton, so the Mountain Film Festival is in South Walton. That's our biggest thing that we want to make sure that we do, because that's our job to do that. So with having 16 neighborhoods that have kind of bigger brands sometimes than we do, we need to capitalize on that and make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do, and that is, making sure that people understand where South Walton is and that these things happen in South Walton, and that you're in South Walton when you go to the Sandusky Wine and Food Festival, that you're in South Walton when you go to Rosemary Beach and Fork. Not that they applied this year, but I'm just saying, it does it's hard for us, especially, those of us sitting at this table and out here, we travel and you're like, oh, I love Destin. Can you tell me where you were? oh, yeah, well, I go to the Sandestin Wine Festival every year. You go, well, that's really in South Walton. I'm glad you had a good time. Or I go to the Scenic Road Wine Festival every year. That's in Destin. Oh, that Seaside's part of South Walton. So really just trying to do that, our due diligence on our end and make sure that we're creating that unified as a South Walton brand.
And
What
not
was
only,
the struggle with that?
and not only do we have that challenge from a leisure side, but I have that challenge from a meeting side. So having the meeting co-ops that our meeting partners like Dan pay for to be in that is, it is a big plus, but it can even go further. Because a lot of our properties in the West End, like Sandestin, has a Destin address, so a meeting planner thinks, I'm in Destin. Everything around us is Destin. So it's twofold. We're not a Memphis, or Orlando, or a Chicago. We're South Walton. And it's difficult for people to grasp that, especially the first time here.
Absolutely. And so I was sitting there thinking, it's the double-edged sword, which comes first, the chicken or the egg, the branding, the leading with South Walton, or the helping of these events to become successful, which draws people here for us to educate them on the fact that now you're in South Walton, and, in the meantime, you're putting heads in beds, you're driving ticket sales, you're doing all of those things, which is also, one of the goals. So,
You said it, Ms. Chair.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I have 3 comments. Have we ever considered like little, where it says welcome to South Walton? We have signs that say that when you're driving maybe from Destin, we have signs saying welcome to South
Wait,
Walton.
they say you've entered or you.
Yeah, okay. Do we have signs going this way saying you're leaving South Walton?
No. I think at one time there was a billboard on the north side of the bay, something about
Thank you for visiting.
Thank you for visiting, You're now leaving South Walton. Thank you for visiting. It might be something to consider.
Yeah, there's a whole plan, once the bridge is done, with the gateways, the east to west, the north, welcoming people and how it's going to be landscaped and all of that, so that when you enter from the east and the west especially, you will know that you have arrived.
The other question I had, in looking at this book, I see that a lot of people, in addition to all the other logos, they have a Visit Florida. Now, say for instance, charity coin auction is what I'm looking at. Is that because they're a member of Visit Florida, or does Visit Florida give grant money as well?
They do not give grant money. They're not allowed to give grant money.
Okay.
What they do is they promote the event, and they go
As being a member.
into markets, out of market, and put together packages with media, and use the tickets for these events as part of those packages. Use overnight lodging as part of the package as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Stacy.
I have just a comment before we change subjects, just that this is a very interesting concept, and I think it could be hugely successful for the county, but it might be something that you consider as more transitional, because it might scare some of your signature events that first year. I just don't know from a funding perspective if you have enough money to split it, but that could be something you consider where you still give some money, but then your signature events are included on your 2-page spreads or something like that.
Yeah, I think, if we're closing this out, like Jay said, it'd be nice to, you can still do it, I think, and highlight the specific partners event that you're trying to talk about, and you can have all the other ones listed there as well, because they might say, April's not good, but I see bang, 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 I can go, these 4 are happening throughout the year. It's just a thought, because obviously it's a big change, so I think there might be a way to go into it in the first year as far as advertising. Obviously, it's not probably this year, it's the 17-18 year we're talking about. And further discussion, obviously, because we're not placing that stuff yet, or maybe we are, but just a thought.
No, the application will go out probably mid to late January for 18, and so that's why we're having the discussion. And
have you brought this to the events committee?
that happens on Thursday.
Okay.
You guys meet first.
Yeah, first. And you're all marketing people, so.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing on.
Does this form a subcommittee to help?
I don't think at this point.
Okay. Because I know you're shorthanded, so I just thought, if you wanted.
They do all the work. I don't know. Fabulous team, yeah.
I definitely think there's pros and cons on both sides. I think the branding is important, right? And it's inherently Kelly, I know this would make her job so much easier, and I can appreciate that. And, again,
Well, I do, it would make things easier. I'm not so much worried about that. I am more concerned about making sure that, that if I don't come to you with the fact that over 9 years we've spent almost $3 million on doing it this way, that there's another way we could do it.
Sure.
And get more.
And get more. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying, that's where we are, it's not about, I gotta work anyway. So, just like the rest of you, I'm still gonna be, working
you
in.
compare the ROI, because to me, so much of this is reminiscent of the Autumn Tides days, right? But Autumn Tides was so new, so if we would have continued down that road, keep doing it more of what I'm gonna call this the Autumn Tides format, what would the success look like today? Versus we didn't, we broke out, we started this new program, which I think has been amazingly successful in empowering the events to really get to know their audience and build their own brands within the South Walton brand. And again, as I drive on a October day when we used to be able to shoot a cannon to this place and it's wall-to-wall cars, oh my gosh, the success that I'm seeing. But again, you can't pinpoint is that success because we tried a new model, is that success because the economy has grown, the destination has bigger awareness these days, is that because there's so many
There's so many
factors?
factors, and I think a lot of those factors is everybody sitting in this room, Ron, every bed tax collector, they have their own marketing plan, retail, restaurants. We have become, a culinary mecca, music, architecture. We're not just the beach anymore. We're so much more.
Sure. I think that sitting at this table, our responsibility is, wears a different hat, and pushing South Walton as a brand is our goal here, not individual ideas of individual events or, I've started an event, so I can look at it from that way as well. But pushing the South Walton brand is the primary focus and should be of us when we're making decisions at this table. And you can look through those advertisements and, like you said, it's hard to find South Walton in some of those. So from that standpoint, I really like, and when it was first presented at the TDC board meeting, I like the program. I am very interested in hearing, I appreciate hearing from all of you because I'm on the TDC board and our next meeting, this is going to come up again. And so having that knowledge of your feelings on this, even your personal feelings, not just the South Walton feelings, is important because it's going to inevitably affect how I vote or my opinion on this program. So it's important for me to know, but also remind that sitting here, our job here at this table is to promote South Walton, and the decisions made at this table should be not personal for personal events, but for the whole brand.
Any other comments before we move on?
At the same time, I just want to say, and I don't disagree with you at all, I'm 100% agree with what you're saying. I think a part of our job is also to, bring our experience and where we are so that we can tell you guys, this is where you're going to get pushed back. These are going to be the issues. And I think that's what you were asking of us.
Yeah.
So,
Sure. Oh, there's going to be pushback.
So we can refine and tweak and, you guys, you do that every day, Stacy and Tracy and Nancy, Dan.
So as a community here, would you be in favor of moving towards something like this, or do you see too many hurdles, or there'll be too much pushback?
I don't see too many hurdles. I mean, I definitely see there are pros and cons. I like the idea for all the reasons we've talked about. I think it is going to negatively impact some signature events, and that's a fact.
Yeah, no question.
We're not full
And that's why I mentioned somehow, you're transitioning from something that was just all one event, all day, to, it's hard, what are they talking about all the events, or is it, someone's signature event? And if you just maybe highlight that signature event and still have all those on there, that ad is, to me, is still all about South Walton. It's just talking about one of 5 options you have.
And I think there's also a way that we can look at continuing the additional money for signature events that we've spent in the past. You know, I can't tag a radio spot with 5 events, I'm sorry, I just can't. It's gotta be all one event. I mean, I'm changing the station if you're talking to me about 5 on 1. So I can't really, and that's one of the big things that we do is radio spots for signature events. So there's some things that I see staying the same for signature events that we would continue to do. That would still give signature events even more push than maybe the other events. So,
Like she was saying.
yeah.
Individualize them.
Yeah, individualize them some. So we're not married to any of this. We just wanted to come before you and, you know, talk to you about, you know, being good stewards of the dollars and making sure that we all understand that there's different ways that it can be spent and maybe it can be spent, I hate to use the word more wisely, but, you know, it
That
could
is
be.
correct, that's correct.
Just, you know, more.
That's
fiscally
$500,000, you know, in this year that we're in, and we spent almost $3 million since 2009, and you saw the type of ads that some of them are, and there are some people that are not as skilled as other people, and they would actually welcome us doing this for them.
And then, you know, and I'm in complete agreement with Tracy, Stacy. Some of the events you all work on, the branding that you all have done, and the inclusion of South Walton, even, you know, the events that you're blessed to, Dan, is done really well. It is no, we're not trying to take away from anything you all have done. We're just trying to make it better for everyone.
And just one final note from my perspective, the point that Sarah brought up is huge, because when we go in, we are bringing on sponsors for the event. A big part of that is the advertising package, and even though we've got, you know, dollars that we can allocate outside of dollars we get, that's by far the largest chunk of money. And if a sponsor's not going to be in that advertising, specifically it's usually print, but sometimes it is, you know, out-of-market radio and that type of thing, then that's going to be, you know, becomes a harder sell.
And we also, when thinking about that, invite, you know, to also look at your wording on your visitsouthwalton.com event page, and, you know, if you need to put together some different copy for that and some different things, we are definitely open to that. And, you know, if, I mean, in the past, I'm not going to use you an example, Stace, because I've done it, but, you know, the Wyndham Resort West has been, you know, maybe the key sponsor for you all for lodging or something. We've put that on, you know, visitsouthwalton.com page for your event, and make sure that, you know, when they book tickets, they can either book straight lodging for whatever link that is you wanted us to use, or go buy tickets. So there's some different ways we're looking at some things, and definitely some of the enhancements we're looking at with the websites to make that much easier as well. So we're trying to think about it holistically, not just as one.
And there's benefits if you're on that piece. There's a longer shelf life for it, and you're mentioned wherever you're mentioned on it. That's all a benefit. All part of branding.
Any other comments before we move on?
Is there any other new business we need to discuss before we move on to old?
And is it possible to get this sent out to us, this presentation we just saw? Or no?
No, not yet. We
Okay.
have to
Tweak
present
it.
to the events committee,
Okay.
and then to the TDC council on December 6th.
First.
Yeah, you.
Got it. No problem. Maybe after.
Afterwards, I find.
I have some things in updates, but let's.
Yeah, that's old business.
Yes.
Okay.
Old business.
All right, so the South Walton Escape TV fishing show.
Jay was hoping to be here to talk about that, but unfortunately he was unable to make it today. Gayla and myself have been working with the South Walton Escape TV fishing show, and we think that maybe December 6th or the February meeting that we would be able to take some stuff back to the TDC council and some of the things, or back to the BCC TDC rather, about some of the items that we put together. We have worked together with the TV show, and we have pretty much made all the episodes. We have kind of put together the way they would flow and how we could utilize all the things in South Walton to make the show be solely about South Walton. I think that when it was presented, maybe it was not understood that everything in the show would be about South Walton. I mean, the show is going to, obviously, the boat's going to be anchored in Sandestin at their marinas. They're leaving out of South Walton. There's going to be some opportunities, and I'll just use Jim as an example. There's some opportunities there where, you know, say a family's going fishing, they pick them up at whatever lodging it is, and you show their lodging and show their neighborhood, and they go out and catch a fish, and maybe they go back to Stinky's, and maybe Chef Jim over there cooks up their fish and shows them how to do that. So there'll be a lot of different ways to pair that up. Not even, we're talking about inshore fishing as well in Choctachi Bay. One of the things they talked about was the lionfish, about, you know, showing how that's an invasive species, but how the local chefs have all taken upon themselves to make it this.
Kill as many as possible.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that we're looking at doing with this. We're just waiting to get everything together. It is not, it's put on the back burner for just a little bit, but we are actively working on it, and we just wanted to give you guys an update.
Cool.
The one problem I had with that program when it was presented is that it really only featured this guy's boat. It didn't really incorporate other types of fishing in the area, whether you do, you know, river fishing or bay fishing.
I think that was a misperception, Ms. Marilyn. Gayla, myself, and Jay have sat down with Jack, and we have talked to him about that. It will feature lots of different things, everything from, like I said, Choctachi Bay fishing, fishing off the Gulf at Grace.
But is it going to have other outfitters?
At this time, no, because other outfitters haven't come forward to say they want to be a part of that. He is actually putting together, I mean, he's offering to use his boat. No one else is coming forward and saying that they're willing to offset those costs. So,
well, to me, it's kind of synonymous with Sunshine Shuttle coming in, wanting to do the shuttles. You know, that's just my perception of the program.
Kelly, if I can jump in first. What I remember from our conversations, he was open to the idea of incorporating inside of the episodes to go out and talk to some of the other local fishermen. So that you wouldn't be on their boat, but he would go out and feature them and show, you know, how you could go out on the bay and even do like kayak fishing and, you know, different types of things. So he was completely open to that
Okay,
idea.
well, that's good.
And was also open
to present it.
Yeah, he was also open to, you know, like having a couple minutes that pulled away to show like what the family's doing while dad's out fishing.
Yeah, I just
So the
didn't want
family
to
goes
see-
shopping and, you know, like we just cut to different things around South Walton.
I just was not comfortable with spending TDC dollars to market an individual's business. And that was kind of what our group in prior meetings had discussed about the Sunshine Shuttle promotion. Why should we be spending money to help just one company? And so that was just, I just wanted to put that out there and have it on the record that I had a problem with that.
All right, I'll take that into consideration. Ms. Marilyn?
Right, on the agenda for your monthly analytics. But anyway, I wanted to go through real quickly because of time, the presentation I did at the TDC Council. I know in this meeting we don't normally talk about sales, but Marilyn, this is for you because you always ask about meetings. So the TDC sales team, we had a lunch and learn with all of our sales partners at all of our South Walton media partners, laying out our plan for 2017 and just bringing them up to date on everything. We attended Connect in August, And those are one-on-one appointments with meeting planners, and as you can see, there's Carly and Alicia. And that was very successful. We had some good appointments there. We attended Wine Women Shoes in Atlanta. We've done several cities. We've done Houston and Dallas and Nashville. And this was the first time in Atlanta, and the ladies in every city just love seeing us there because they come here on vacation. And it just gives us, you know, a reason to have a presence there. There's normally about 400 to 500 women. They drink wine, they come visit, there are silent auctions, and many South Walton properties have contributed to the silent auction packages. And then we just recently did small market meetings in Huntsville. We did the Franklin Wine Festival in October in Franklin, Tennessee. We've done that several times. We didn't do it last year because we're starting to alternate the years. You know, just we don't need to do it every year, but it's really good for us. A lot of those folks up there vacation here. Again, we can have vacation packages for the silent auction. And then Connect Florida, that was the inaugural for Collinson Media puts that on, and that was also very successful, one-on-one meeting planners. We have had the same wedding brand ad for about 4 or 5 years. And so I desperately begged and pleaded for a new ad. So I'm going to pass this around so that you can see it better in print. But if you'll go to our website, can you go to our website now? And we'll show you the wedding video that's on our weddings page that a bride-to-be can look at and get inspired and hopefully have her wedding in South Walton. And the model is our very own Hannah. So we didn't have to go out for talent. And the dress she is wearing is her wedding dress. Were you married a year ago? Okay, a beautiful dress.
Got 2 weddings.
She should.
Who's the husband?
Happy
Her husband.
Oh, it's your husband too.
Go outside, we can go outside.
We are very proud of this video, and that, you know, we had in-house talent for this.
It's just slow.
While Kelly's finding it, are you almost there?
It's a big piece.
It has music.
Is that your dad?
No, that's not her dad.
Okay.
But we used, you know, in-house, the attendees. And it was a beautiful day. It was hot, but it was beautiful. Now, wouldn't you want to get married here? So we went to Rosemary, we went to Alice for the ending there. But it was actually filmed in front of Topsail. So we had a great time doing that. And so we did the video, we did the, for the print ad, so our next wedding publication will have this. we'll have this good ad. Okay, thank you.
Good, your Disney ad?
It's not even all in there. I don't know why it does that.
And this is the visitor center. We have been down in our count in the visitor center, and you know, every time I say this, there's no rhyme or reason why the numbers in there. You could have a rainy day and have 50 people in there, or you could have a sunny day and have 100 people in there. But so the count in there is down. We're coming into our snowbird season here in a few weeks.
Oh, no.
So we'll have snowbirds in there like crazy. And the snowbirds are wonderful. They come in 3 or 4 times during their 2 to 4 month stay, and by the time they leave, they're bringing the staff presents, donuts and cookies and flowers, and they brought Norma Jean and orchids. So that's how they connect with us in the winter. But our merchandise, look at that. That is up 96% from last year. So we sold $20,000 worth of merchandise. It is, fabulous merchandise, and it's at cost. So we don't mark that up. We have great prices, and the whole goal is to get that shirt on your back and go up to, Chicago or wherever you're from and wear that shirt proudly.
And it's also because of the new logo. I mean, they want something new.
Yes, I
And you
think
fix some great products. Yeah.
And it's good product.
Yeah, it's great product.
It
The
is,
center's
it
done a
is.
really good job with the things that are in there.
and this is just a couple accolades from people who went on TripAdvisor and said, you need to stop at the visitor center. The people are nice, they're friendly. I got more than I even needed. So we're always glad to have that. This is, on the left is Christy Gibson. She is our new supervisor in the visitor center. She worked for us many moons ago with Harley and Kelly and myself. Oh, it was before you told me. Is it just me? It's just like okay, she was actually our PR person. And she worked with us, and then when this job became available, she applied. And then on the right is Joyce Clark. She is our part-time person. She works Saturday and Sunday with one of our other full-time staff. So 7 days a week, we're open 8 to 4:30, and we have at least 2 people, every day and on the weekends. So we're very proud of that.
I am going to touch on Marilyn's point about the logo. I have seen more stickers on cars than I ever have for South Walton before, and I do think that, the execution is attractive. I think people like it. I think you're showing the merchandise is selling, the stickers are going out. I say, good job.
Good, thank you. One of the other things that we're doing is on our blue bags. I don't know if any of us have our blue bags, but we put all 16 neighborhoods. Oh my God, women love those. So on the sales side, if we do a sponsorship, 9 times out of 10 will be the bag sponsor, and they will chunk their registration bag that they got, when they came in, and they will use our bag.
Oh, there's no
I
doubt.
think it gives them ownership though. There's the South Walton logo, but maybe they stay in Miramar, maybe they stay in Seaside, maybe they stay in Sandestin or wherever. Their neighborhood's on there, and it feels good to them to be able to see not only South Walton, but where their heart is.
So when you're at a meeting show and you see 400 to 500 ladies and men walking around with that blue bag on their shoulder, I mean, it's beautiful. It warms my heart. Marketing communications update. This is an activation that we did in Houston, and it was a several month activation at the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion. We had a area set up with a vending machine where you would get merchandise by giving your
Posting on Instagram or posting on Twitter.
yes, and that's going to be wrapped up here soon
This weekend.
So it was ongoing for several months.
We sponsored the children's program for the whole summer.
I'll let Kelly talk about these as she was chatting.
September 17th and 18th, we were at the Music City Food and Wine. This was our second year there. 2015, Chef Jim was with us, so he kind of knows a little bit about it. But this year, we took 3 chefs. We took Chef Tim Creehan, Chef Miguel Aguala, and Ruth 30A, and we took Scott Conley at the Craft Bar, along with they all made different things throughout the weekend, and people loved it. We also poured 30A wine. Mike Ragsdale was with us, and it was a great activation. People loved it. We had a tasting session where we had an opportunity to be in front of everyone and get our message out and talk. Each chef had an opportunity to talk about the things they made, and it ended with South Walton being able to have probably 5-7 minutes to talk about all the events and all the great things that are going on in South Walton. It it was a very much a success gala, and Carly attended that with me, and it was very successful even in the rain and the evacuating and all of that, so it was very successful. That was September, and then from October, we went to our third and we believe our final Cattle Barons Ball. We took Chef Phil McDonald, artist Hugh Mitchell, and Artist of the Year for 2015, 16, I always forget how it works, Melody Vogel. If you haven't had an opportunity to get in front of Melody Vogel and have her create a piece of art in front of you, you are missing out. We had more people stop and talk to her than I've ever seen anyone stop and talk to someone. She's so engaging and people just loved it so much. It started out as nothing, and by the end of the night, she had a full-fledged painting there from plein air painting like she does. And Hugh Mitchell performed various songs, and Phil McDonald, we had people just stand and eat. He made pickled shrimp, apparently. It's a big deal. People loved it. Having everything being barbecue and chicken and this, people really enjoyed having the shrimp and being able to come by. And that was October 15th.
Where was this in Texas?
Dallas. It is the single largest American American Cancer Society fundraiser. They raised like $3 million in one night. So it's the single largest. This last weekend, you can see me and my chefs is what I call them all weekend at Emerald Agassiz Foundation, Boudin, Bourbon, and Beer. That was held in New Orleans Friday night. We were the largest sponsor outside of Sazerac and Avita and obviously the foundation. It was a success, I do believe. We had 4 chefs, but 6 restaurants. Chef Jim was with us, representing Trechet and Stinky's. Chef Jim Shirley, The Bay, Great Southern. Chef Kevin Corman, Rosalie, and Chef Dan Vargo, Sandestin Hilton Cigars. And it was a success, I do believe. Chef Jim, do you have anything you would like to say about it?
I think the activation itself went great. We were in a tent by ourselves in the center of 5,000 people. So we definitely touched a lot of people, and it's a really great event. I mean, it draws people from all over the country, and they raise a lot of money, and it's very much a food-driven thing. It's I'm going to have 50 chefs or 60 chefs,
60 chefs
from all over the country that come in and to participate. And it's the second night of it. It's a 3-day event. And they do something on the first night, and then the following night they do a very high dollar gala. But this is, again, 5,000 people, and yeah, it's a great event. It's actually my 3rd year to do the event.
Stacey Brady was there.
Yeah.
My 3rd year.
Is it your 3rd year? Yeah. My 3rd year to do the event. Stinky's had been invited a couple years ago, so it's kind of a no-brainer for me, I think.
And we were able to do this through a partnership with Visit Florida, and so that made it very affordable for us to be able to do this. For those of you who have or have not seen the experience booth, it was a lot of fun. We turned the experience booth into the biggest photo booth you've ever seen. Stacey can tell you, Jim can tell you, we had people lined up everywhere to
Very
get in
popular.
there. It was a lot of fun. At the end of the night, kind of like Pamela said, when you look around and you see all those bags, we did bags as well. So you turn around and you've got all these bags and Tervis tumblers, and everybody loves there's a South Walton logo, because everybody, of course, you pour your drink in there. It was a very, very successful event, and the DJ made numerous announcements. If you're not in the Florida tent, you're missing out. So it was a good event. So I'm very
I think
pleased.
you guys got a shout out from Emerald from the
Yes,
stage.
we did.
Yeah.
We got a shout out from
Yeah.
Emerald from the stage. So
Oh,
moving from Booty and Bourbon and Beer into Emerald's Florida. These were, we will be on the next installment of Emerald's Florida that I believe goes live in March. We did a little different this year. this season rather, Emerald got to make some nice art with Mary Hall, and he was able to go to a couple different places he hadn't been to. That will be featured on Emerald's Florida. I believe it shows up around March-ish.
Yeah, this is CNN. This was basically Curly's project, working with some folks from CNN came down and did a little segment, and we'd like to play that for you too. It's very cute. It was right before Labor Day.
It was in early August, because Nancy helped us, so it was filmed at Water Sound.
But it showed like Labor Day.
It's like it's a long down.
It's this room. I don't know how to make the sound work.
Well, she's saying how fabulous it is. She's
Very impressive.
Okay,
Strong voice.
Okay. He's got his little gnome with him, and they're chatting about what to do. And he just wants to stay at the beach.
And the sound is on the screen down, down there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I want to hear what the gnome has to say.
We can look it up on YouTube.
So he's gonna go hit the water on a surfboard.
That must be a yellow flag day at least.
Oh, there you go.
I know, did you notice
There
that?
it comes.
It was on. It's not insane.
That's a fact.
Oh, no, he's not. I was gonna fix it.
It's off the website. It's on.
Now
I can hear him, but it's background.
that's the wedding.
Is that the wedding?
Yeah, that's the wedding.
I think they're both playing at the same time.
Well, they keep waiting for something. They just keep waiting and waiting. You're gonna see it in a second. There it is. Yeah. Yeah. Look at that.
Wow.
It was a great day.
Yeah. So
Was that intended to be the shot, or did the sunset just happen to be
It's just
insane?
Spectacular.
That's amazing.
That is.
Great.
Love it when that happens.
Yeah. So we showed that to the TDC council, and they loved
Great.
I heard it.
Nancy Floyd, she came to watercolor back in September, and she did a story on watercolor. She came back in October to Alice Beach and did some things on Alice Beach, and then wants to come back for digital graffiti. And she was fascinated by that. She'd never seen it, so she wants to come back when...
Is that Nashville?
Yes, Nashville, I'm sorry, yes, Nashville. Miles Media, we have renewed our contract with Miles Media, which is our website provider. Turner PR out of New York is our new PR firm, and they started in October, so that they were here for the annual meeting. You may have met them at the annual meeting. And while they were here, we toured them for 4 days, and from one end of the county to the other, so that they could see where our boundaries are and see our 16 neighborhoods, and so that they could really be immersed in the destination. And then you probably know we have a new beach safety text number. The company that we had used wasn't going to let us keep the number that we had, and they charged a lot. So we did some research, and we're with a different company now at probably a third of the price. So we've had to change a lot, right now. We've had to change a lot with the new, so we have a new beachgoer guide that we delivered to the tax collectors with this new number on it. The signs had to be changed down on the beach so that, people would know. But that's a big deal, so that is up and running.
Yeah, but what happens if, when somebody does the old number, they just happen to have
Does it go to the new number then now? For a time it was.
Everything transferred over.
Everything transferred over, yeah.
I mean, like for a year or how long?
At this point, if you use the old number, I don't.
Yeah, when the switchover happened, they.
Whoever was on it.
Yeah, it moved over, and now you can't sign up on the old number.
It won't allow you to sign up any longer. It tells you that that's not a valid number.
So that number's not anywhere anymore, so now you just use this number. You're a new person that's come to the destination.
Yeah.
And we've requested that anyone has the old information to get rid of that, not to give that out or anything.
Oh, updates. Director of Marketing. I will say that we had interviews last week for the Director of Marketing. We did make an offer. We're still in negotiations and so I didn't want to, say anything else. And then Director of Communications, that position was posted last Friday. And that's, I can't remember when the cutoff date, it's probably 3 weeks for that. We also need a communications coordinator. That has not been posted yet, but we can, so we have some empty spots that we need to fill. So we're excited that those are posted, and especially the Director of Marketing. So, what else do we need? Is that it? Okay, I also wanted to share with you, we're working on our 2018 visitor guide, so I wanted to pass around what the cover will look like and what the back will look like, so that you can see that. That will come out in January. And again, on the back, we've tied the 16 neighborhoods in Scenic Gulf Drive and 30A. I think that helps. And when we mail this out from our mail house, I wish we had one of those envelopes, but the visitor guide goes in a clear envelope so that when it's being mailed, the postman sees how beautiful that picture is, whoever touches it. Yeah. So we love that. I wanted you guys to see that. If you look at my list here. Tracy, you can appreciate this. This is our new press kit folder. And I have been, we had this years ago and then we didn't. And I always complained about it, and I know they're sick of hearing me, so now I have it. So I want to pass this around too so that you can see it. Very, very nice. And again, it has the same thing on the back that the visitor guide has. 16 neighborhoods. Did you see that little thing, the little flap? Hold that little flap on the right up. You see the little snorkel rock? And it's got the airport information. Because the first thing out of somebody's mouth is, where are you and how do I get there? And so having that airport information right there when you open it up is wonderful. So we're very proud of that. One other thing I want to mention, I think it was discussed at one of your marketing meetings about MTWA, the Midwest Writers Association. They had selected us to come in March for their spring conference, but they have now selected someone else, so that will not happen. I just want to kind of wrap that up and let you know that that's not happening. That's all the updates I have, unless the team has something else.
The only thing I'm going to touch on, you got all the monthly analytics, and I didn't expect anyone to read all of that, but if you did read all of that, the biggest thing that you saw was there is still low engagement on the website, and we had a meeting yesterday, Hannah, the whole team, and we are moving forward with some usability testing. We're putting together some timelines and some information for that, so that you will hear some information of that moving forward. So that would be the only, that would be what those analytics say, that the engagement's still low, and that we have transitioned. We have made some transitions on the website. Probably around the summertime, if you looked at our content, you probably noticed that, maybe July's content was all food related, maybe June's content was all eco related, maybe August's content was all music related. We have changed that up some based on some suggestions from the team and from agencies, and now it's more of a revolving door. You get something food, you get something eco, you get something music related each month. Instead of focusing on more than on just one thing, we see better engagement on the website from that, because there's more things people are interested in. If you're not interested in food this month, then you might turn our content off next month. So it's just a little bit better way of trying to get our content out there. But you will see and hear some more about some usability testing that we're putting together for the website.
So we have been rocking and rolling. We've been doing a lot of stuff. And I like sharing with you what the different departments
Oh, I did want to say, our new PR agency, Turner, would like to invite those of you who send out press releases about big events and things that you have to add them to your distribution list. They had set up a special email address, southwalton@turnerpr.com, where you can reach them directly. They're very receptive. We're still in the process of educating them about the area, so feel free to help us with that. Every time I get something from you guys, I'm forwarding it to them, but they would really like to be added to your direct list.
Go to the web.
What's that address again?
southwalton@turnerpr.com.
I'd like to ask, as far as old business, what the status of the water tower is.
Well, we gave it back to San Justin.
It still says South Walton.
Well, it's
It's
down
down
all
low.
that.
I mean, but it is-
Dan.
Yeah, they're going through the different levels of what the new design will look like and being, approved, basically, is what's going on right now. It should be in the final stages of it. There's a color thing, and there's color palettes that are
Okay,
approved.
but it
and
has
not approved.
taken place. It has.
Yes.
Yes, that deal
been done.
has happened, we
Okay.
received money and,
Okay.
it's now all San Justin. All the time, yes.
Okay. Any other old business to discuss or bring up? Okay,
I have one thing I'd like to say. And in the future marketing plan, that we don't forget the Artificial Reef Association. As it grows, it's going to become, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing in South Walton that has not come to light yet because we only have a small amount of it deployed. But as it grows, it's truly wonderful and wondrous. And it's going to be, I really hope and feel like it's going to be a huge part of something else to do in South Walton.
I do too, Jim. And don't you have something?
We do. We completely agree with you. Walter was here. We took them out, showed them, we talked to them about it quite a bit. We added in something to our visitor guide this year. It wasn't in there last year. So this year it will be in there, and we're putting together several different things to try to make sure that gets built into what we're talking about.
Good, thank you.
and how do you access that? I mean, from the.
Jump in the water.
Yep.
Yeah, you can go off of the Grayton State Park. There will be 4 snorkel reefs, and they're all off of State Park. So there'll be one at Deer Lake, and the one in Grayton has been deployed, Topsail, and in Miramar Beach. And then there will also be 9, which is a whole nother piece of this. There'll be 9 fish dive reefs that are in 50 feet of water, which is about 3/4 of a mile offshore. And that's going to open up a whole nother level of ecotourism when you can paddle out there and catch your 2 red snapper and paddle back in. It's going to be really going to be a game changer. It's really going to be incredible.
And when will this all be done?
I think the selection was just made last week, and so deployment will ensue. Hopefully by January, they'll begin deploying the rest of the other 3 snorkel reefs. And so it's just a process. There's, the whole state or the whole Gulf Coast received money for artificial reef deployment. Fortunately, through our efforts, we're way up close to first in line on the deployment. So we'll see. Hopefully by January, we'll begin to see the deployment again. The Grayton Reef got deployed because we didn't want to wait for this process, so we went and we raised private money with a couple of grants by the TDC and CCA, and we're able to raise the money to go ahead and deploy that reef, and it's incredible.
I think they approved the
really
funding
incredible.
last night for the next 3, for the contract for the next 3 at the BCC meeting. And also on the fishing show, I believe that was one of the episodes that
Oh,
we
really?
created for them, was one to
Thank you
highlight.
very, very much.
Yes.
I do have a question about the reefs. Will there be something that will educate visitors on safety? I know I just snorkeled it and I was like, am I supposed to be having a dive flag and there's boats and I know obviously visitor safety is an important aspect.
You are supposed to have a dive flag. There are at the state park entrance and at the Grayton Beach entrance, there are trailhead markers that are similar to the markers they're putting out at the lakes to show wildlife. And it has safety safety information. It has how to locate it, and it has marine life, what to look for and what to stay away from.
So maybe that would be part two, as we're starting to market the reefs as a historical location, again, sharing with people.
Yeah.
I lived in Florida my whole life, and I wasn't even sure, I don't have a dive flight, so.
Yeah, let's go to the ramp to the right, has all the safety instructions and all that good stuff.
Gotcha, see, I
Can
accessed it
dive
from
flames
Ashland
possibly
Great
be
Beach.
shot
We're just
to
going to do it.
something or-
Yes.
The day we went, was it?
I think right now there's two shops in Great Beach
There's nobody there.
that do rental and tours. And it's surely to grow.
Jim, do you have a brochure at all on Swirl?
Yes, we do. There should be some in the visitor center, or there, yeah. And it's shortly we'll update it,
You know
but
what would be nice if you or Andy or somebody from your organization would come and do a little seminar for the visitor center people so
Sure.
they can talk knowledgeably about that.
Great idea.
absolutely. It would be nice to have a display,
Yes.
just like the pictures that are on there. We've taken and designed the individual reefs. Great Turtle Reef, we installed it as in the shape of a turtle. And the other ones, there'll be a fish and a seahorse and a dolphin. And so they'll all be identified from above that way. So like if you took that picture you had, if it had the reef in it as well, you would see the outline of a turtle. But having that display would help them as well. Where to go, how to get there.
We could even do a field trip where they come to you.
Yeah.
Out on the beach, they would love that.
Absolutely.
I'd like to have that opened up to more than just the visitor center. Let's get a lot of committees in,
They come
involvement.
to a presentation.
Yeah, but I mean, let's make it available to.
Yeah, so from what I've seen of the reef in the last 12 months, in the last year, the growth of it and the marine life that now has created habitat there, it really is gonna be something very special for here. That's gonna be very, very marketable, and again, something else to do when you're here.
It's one of our primary narratives that we're working with our PR agency when we talk to media and when we're putting together our content. Kelly touched on it a little bit earlier. We do culinary, we do arts and culture, and we do eco, and we see the reefs as being an enormous part of that narrative right now. So anything new that you have on it, please keep me posted.
Yeah, we should see a lot of development this next year.
We may want to, who doesn't like to have fun, right? Maybe at the end of one of our meetings, that might be in May or something, plan in advance and go down there from here.
Yeah,
Just,
snorkel.
this group here.
And we
Right.
love field trips. And the visitor center really does. So they need to, have,
Experience it. Yeah, if they experience it once on a good day, it'll change it.
Nothing like talking about something you've done.
Great. Any other old business? This is where we invite the public to come forward.
The audience?
Can you get to the reef via boat, or is it only from the shore? Can the boat come in that close?
Yes.
They can?
Yes, it can. It starts in 12 feet of water is the minimum depth for deployment, and the back side of the turtle is in about 18 feet of water.
And that's right
So
now.
there's a 6-foot clear. There has to be a 6-foot clearance from the top of the reef to the mean high water line.
Okay.
So yes, unless you have a very large boat, you're good to go.
That's all I have.
Well, thank you for attending. Any other committee comments?
I have a question about this meeting and the time and the date is, I know we went from, well, I guess our last meeting in May was 3 o'clock, right, on Tuesday. Now this is 9 o'clock on Tuesday. Did we change that in the May meeting? Is that what we did?
No.
Okay, I don't know.
We are morning people, so we picked morning.
It's
So when a new marketing director comes, they can.
No, I think that,
Committee meeting starts at 9 a.m.
yeah.
Other than this one, it
Yes.
was at 3 o'clock.
And-
so we're trying to get it back on the same schedule as every other
And
committee.
it really confused other people, like if they were wanting to talk about if they wanted to actually attend any meeting, if they were like, well, why isn't it at 9 a.m.? So, which the public person went, it's at 9 a.m., so, okay.
When is our next meeting?
That is not set yet. Let's see what we can get a marketing director, and then that might be that person's initiation. So there's not a date yet. It'll probably be like January, you know.
Okay.
And Pam, thank you for serving as interim. You've done a fantastic job. The whole team has. The whole team has.
You kept us afloat.
You are so welcome.
Okay, well, if there's no other discussions, then we will adjourn. And thank you very much.
And thank you for bringing donuts.
Oh, yeah, I had some donuts on the way.
I know. I just need
There's not a state supply of them.
a weekly,
No, we do.
but I mean, if we're only having this every 2 months.
Then will it be okay?
I think so.
Oh, really?
I kind of like morning